Hi, it's Paul, and most of you know how much I love making pizza, and today I thought I would show you how to make pizza dough. There are a few things you're gonna need, and let's take a look at those right now. You're gonna need a Cuisinart. I like using a Cuisinart, it's much faster. Many Cuisinarts come with a dough blade, which makes it much easier. You'll need bread flour, yeast, salt, some sugar, of course, and my secret ingredient, a little bit of powdered onion and powdered garlic. And don't worry about all the measurements, that'll be on the blog post, and you can take a look there and get all the recipe information right there. So, a couple of things I forgot. Definitely need some olive oil and water. So let's get started. Let's get this dough hook in. Dough blade. You can tell this is live. Let's get the flour in. Before we pop that in, a couple of quick little tips. I add the salt and the sugar all at the same time. You can also add, if you like, the powdered onion and garlic. Now, I don't add the yeast quite yet because salt and yeast don't get along very well at the beginning. So let's just pulse this together. And what we're doing is trying to mix that salt, sugar, and the flavorings in. That should be good. You can add the yeast. Do a pulse. Okie doke. So now it's time to add the olive oil. Calls for 3 tablespoons. I usually don't measure this, I just count 1, 2, 3. So here we go. And now it's time to add the water. Now what you want to do as you add the water, basically count to yourself about 15 seconds, and that will actually allow that time for the dough ball to form. And then let it run for another 15 to 20 seconds until you actually see the dough ball actually kind of riding around, and you'll see it in the video here. Let's try it out. So you start counting after all the liquid is in. Zero. It does make the table shake. Just a few more seconds. Now we're gonna test it out. Now if you were using this on your counter, of course it wouldn't shake as much as I just did on a kitchen table, but there's not as good a light on the counter. So it's a little sticky, so what I'm gonna do is put a little flour down on a board before we bring this out. An important gadget to have in your kitchen is a bench scraper. I love the flexible ones because they work well with doughs. There we go. So, a positive of using a dough blade, you don't have to worry about getting injured. So you want the dough to be a little sticky. You don't want it to be very dry because that extra moisture is going to help when it goes in the oven. So there we go. It's coming together very well. I can tell by the look of it that it's kneaded well enough, But if you want to do a test, what you do is you pinch off a little corner, put a little flour on it so it doesn't stick to your fingers. And what you want to do is gently make a tiny, tiny pizza. So you're just kind of stretching with your hands. And this is called the window pane test because if we held it up to the light, and I'm not sure if we can get enough light in there, but it's basically that you can kind of see through it and it isn't tearing. So if you held it up to a light or anything, you could actually see through it very easily and there's no tear. So that's going to be good. So what we want to do is just knead this a couple more times to reincorporate that little bit of dough we cut off. So now you have your solid ball of dough. What you want to do is divide this into 3 pieces. If you had a kitchen scale and wanted to be very precise, you could do that. I generally eyeball it. I've made thousands of pizzas, so I'm pretty good at eyeballing. And it doesn't have to be precise. Okay, so now we have our 3 portions. Now, I use these square containers that I put a little bit of olive oil in. And what we're wanting to do is let these dough balls rest in the fridge overnight. The reason you do that is to develop more flavor. You can also use a gallon Ziploc bag or a large enough bowl to allow for the dough to rise. But these tend to work out really well for me, and they're also square, which works really good in a refrigerator. So I'm just going to move that oil around, make sure it's up on all the sides. You don't want your dough ball to stick, but you also don't want too much oil in the container because you don't want the dough to be oily when you pull it out. Now, of course, there's going to be TV time, and other 2 containers will already be done, of course. So, little trick is on this dough ball, find the sticky side, the side that you cut, put that face down, using your 2 hands cupped like a C. What you want to do is just kind of spin it around really slowly. And what that is doing is stretching the top of the dough. And a reason to do that is it'll help it rise better. So just keep doing this for a few minutes, and now you have a nice tight little ball. I place it top side down, move it around a little bit just to get some oil on it. I tend to do a few little sides, push it flat, pop a lid on, repeat for the next 2 dough balls, pop these in the fridge. Now tomorrow when you go to cook the pizzas, you'll need to pull the dough balls out 2 hours ahead of time for them to come to room temperature and be ready to shape. And on an upcoming video, we'll talk about shaping, topping, and cooking the pizzas. For then, we'll talk to you later.